The Charmed cast. Where are they now in 2025? Three witches captured America's hearts for 8 years. But their real lives after the show ended were darker than any spell. One died at 53, her divorce finalized just one day before. Another fled to Mexico after exposing Hollywood's biggest predator. A third went from delivering pies in a truck to directing films nobody expected. From Broadway stages to remote Mexican villages, from political battles to family tragedies. This is what really happened. Alyssa Milano. Alyssa Milano started her career young, and by the time she became Phoebe Halliwell on Charmed, she was already a familiar face. But what came after that iconic role surprised everyone. In 2024, at over 50 years old, Alyssa stepped onto the Broadway stage for the first time, playing Roxy Hart in Chicago. It wasn't a publicity stunt or a one-off appearance. She auditioned like everyone else, facing critics who doubted she could move from television to live theater. Some reviews were tough. People loved her energy and presence, but pointed out her singing wasn't perfect. Still, Alyssa didn't back down. She trained hard, working closely with choreographers to shape the dance numbers around her strengths. In interviews, she called the role a feminist reclamation of ambition. Her favorite line was, "Roxy is someone who never stopped chasing her moonbeams." And it fit. Alyssa never stopped chasing hers either. That Broadway debut wasn't just a new chapter. It was the climax of a 4-decade career that began in the 1980s with Who's the Boss? While many actresses are pushed aside after a certain age, Alyssa did the opposite. She kept pushing forward. Her memoir, coming out in late 2025, promises a look inside that journey. She's also signed a first-look deal with A&E Studios, proving she's still creating, still building, and still evolving. Outside of acting, Alyssa has become one of the loudest and most consistent voices in activism. Since 2017, she's been front and center in the Me Too movement. She hasn't just tweeted, she's marched, spoken, and confronted powerful people. In 2023, she signed an open letter calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, a move that drew both support and criticism. The following year, she joined United 24 as an ambassador, helping raise support for Ukraine. Her podcast, Sorry Not Sorry, gives space to activists, politicians, and bold voices from all sides of the political spectrum. Through it all, she's also been a mother. Her 2 children, Milo and Bella, are the heart of her life. She's talked openly about the guilt that comes with balancing a Broadway schedule and being there for her kids. During the Chicago run, she told stories of leaving late-night rehearsals only to wake up early for school drop-offs. She didn't hide the chaos, she embraced it. That honesty made her even more relatable, especially to mothers trying to do it all. Holly Marie Combs. Holly Marie Combs, who played Piper on Charmed, also took a very different, but just as powerful, path. After the show ended in 2006, she returned to TV in 2010 on Pretty Little Liars, playing Ella Montgomery, the mother of Lucy Hale's character. The funny thing? She was only about 5 years older than Lucy. Instead of hiding from it, she joked about it. "I'd rather they say I look too young than say I got old," she once said with a laugh. Playing Ella was important. It let her move from magical protector to a grounded modern mother. And behind the scenes, Holly saw the same patterns she had lived through on Charmed. She said watching the younger cast go through their own fame reminded her of her early years, but admitted they were probably more professional than her generation. Holly also became a producer in the later seasons of Charmed. That experience shaped how she handled her career later. In 2024, she launched The House of Halliwell, a podcast with her co-stars Brian Krause and Drew Fuller. It wasn't just a nostalgia trip, it was a hit, especially with younger fans discovering the show on streaming. Even Shannon Doherty joined the early episodes. Holly was funny, honest, and raw. She shared stories about fights, friendships, and the pressures they all faced. The podcast brought Charmed back to life in a whole new way. She didn't stop there. Holly appeared at fan events all over the world in 2025. Hartford's 90s Con, Comic-Con France, Monsterpalooza in LA. She reunited with old co-stars and answered the questions fans had wondered about for years. She didn't hold back. She talked about what really happened behind the scenes of Charmed, including the drama surrounding Shannon Doherty's exit. Holly didn't play nice. She told the truth. and it earned her even more respect. Her personal life has had its own twists. Born to teenage parents, she moved around a lot growing up. Maybe that helped her adapt to Hollywood? She married 3 times, first to actor Brian Travis Smith, then to charmed crew member David Donahoe, with whom she has 3 sons. Her current husband, restaurateur Mike Ryan, is someone she met while both were raising kids alone. They took their time before getting married in Carmel, California in 2019. Holly has said they courted for quite a while because they wanted to be sure their families would fit together. After divorcing Donahoe, Holly stepped back from acting to focus on raising her kids. She returned only when she felt it wouldn't come at the expense of her sons. That kind of choice is rare in Hollywood. It made her even more admired by fans who saw in her a mother who made sacrifices just like they do. What stands out most about Holly is her blunt honesty. She never pretended things were perfect. She admitted when things were messy. She called out Hollywood's obsession with youth. She confirmed the behind-the-scenes tension on Charmed, and while some people didn't like that, others found it refreshing. She became more than just an actress. She became a voice for truth in an industry full of silence. Shannon Doherty. Shannon Doherty's life after Charmed was anything but quiet. When she left the show in 2001, after her character Prue was killed off, many thought her career was over. She already had a reputation. On Beverly Hills, 90210, she clashed with producers. On Charmed, her feud with co-star Alyssa Milano was tabloid gold. The drama behind the scenes became more famous than the shows themselves. People expected her to disappear, but she didn't. Shannon kept working. She hosted Scare Tactics in 2003. In 2005, she starred in Category 7, The End of the World. She returned to the screen as Brenda Walsh in the 2008 reboot of 90210. Fans were thrilled. She even showed up in Kevin Smith's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, a small nod to her earlier movie, Mallrats. She did guest roles, TV movies, whatever kept her going. It wasn't A-list work anymore, but it kept her in the public eye. Her fans stuck with her, and her presence was hard to ignore. Then came the hardest chapter. In 2015, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She didn't hide it. She had a mastectomy, chemo, and radiation. In 2017, she said it was in remission, but 2 years later, it came back. Worse. This time it was stage 4. In 2023, she revealed the cancer had spread to her brain. She even named the tumor Bob and had brain surgery to remove it. Through all of it, Shannon stayed open. She talked about the pain, the fear, the fight. She became a voice for others battling cancer, refusing to be seen as someone who was just waiting to die. She said people with terminal cancer still have a lot of life left. And she proved it. Her personal life was also full of pain. She married photographer Kurt Iswarienko in 2011, but by the end, their marriage was falling apart. The divorce was finalized just 1 day before her death. She was 53. The court documents revealed a lot. She was struggling to pay medical bills. She asked for spousal support. She said Kurt delayed the divorce just to avoid helping. It got ugly, but Shannon didn't let it silence her. On her podcast, Let's Be Clear with Shannon Doherty, she opened up. She spoke about her career, her illness, and her future. She said every day was a gift, that she wasn't done. I'm not done with living. I'm not done with loving. I'm not done with creating. When she died on July 13, 2024, the grief was deep. Fans, co-stars, friends, they all remembered her, not just for the roles she played, but for the woman she was. Strong, flawed, honest, brave. Shannon Doherty was more than a 90s icon. She was a fighter. She didn't fade away. She kept speaking, working, and living, right until the end. Rose McGowan. After leaving Charmed in 2006, Rose McGowan didn't just walk away from a TV show. She walked away from a whole world. She had played Paige Matthews for 5 years and became a household name. But when she stepped out of the spotlight, her life took a turn no one expected. She didn't fade away. She got louder, bolder, and more honest. She became one of the first women to publicly accuse Harvey Weinstein of rape. That one move helped start the global Not Me Too movement. But Hollywood didn't cheer. Instead, it shut her out. Rose wasn't surprised. She'd grown up in chaos. Born into the Children of God cult, she had seen control and fear up close. She had already lost her boyfriend Brett Cantor to an unsolved murder when she was just 19. She had battled an eating disorder that left her at 92 pounds. Speaking up wasn't new for her. It was survival. In 2018, she published Brave, a memoir full of brutal truths. It told the story of the abuse, the trauma, and the fight. She followed it with Citizen Rose, a documentary series. But the more she spoke, the more alone she felt. By 2020, Rose had enough. She left Hollywood and moved to Mexico. She said, "I just got really talked out. I just wanted to listen." She found peace in silence and space. She didn't go to a fancy villa. She moved into a remote area near Tulum. Sometimes it was just her and her dog. No glam, no noise, just quiet. Mexico gave her more than rest. It gave her joy. She spoke about the word alegría, meaning joy, and how it became a part of her life. The colors, the people, the culture. It was a full reset. She started to live simply, learning Spanish and taking pride in the little victories. Her past relationships had been intense. She was engaged to Marilyn Manson, dated director Robert Rodriguez, and married artist Davey Detail. They divorced in 2016. In 2019, she ran into legal trouble over drug charges. She paid a fine and got a suspended sentence. But again, she didn't collapse. She evolved. Her father had lived in Mexico for 35 years. That connection pulled her there. She became a permanent resident. By 2025, she was clear. She had no plans to return to the United States. She found freedom in being unknown. She didn't want fame anymore. She wanted peace. Her career after Charmed was never traditional. She acted in Grindhouse and Nip Tuck. But after 2017, everything changed. Hollywood treated her like a threat. But she kept speaking. Not for money, not for attention, for truth. Rose McGowan's story isn't clean or polished. It's full of trauma, rebellion, and sharp turns. But through it all, she stayed herself. She didn't play by the rules. She didn't try to please anyone. She chose her own path, even if it meant walking it alone. Brian Krause. Brian Krause will always be remembered as Leo Wyatt, the kind-hearted white lighter who stole hearts on Charmed. But once the show ended in 2006, he didn't just disappear like many actors do. Instead, he kept moving forward, building a life and career that few saw coming. Right after Charmed, Brian didn't waste any time. He started landing guest roles on major shows like Mad Men, The Closer, and CSI Miami. He also jumped into a string of indie films and made-for-TV movies. It wasn't just about staying busy, it was about showing range. In 2025, he's still going strong. He stars in Beauty of Poverty, an emotional indie drama, and Garrison 7, The Fallen, a bold sci-fi action film. Two completely different genres. One actor, still relevant, but acting hasn't been his only focus. Brian took a risk most actors wouldn't. He started directing. One of his projects, Me and Michael, tells the powerful true story of a friendship between two men experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles. It's a film he didn't just direct. He also helped promote it himself, turning to fans and grassroots platforms. It shows he cares deeply about stories that matter. And if you think fans forgot about him, think again. Brian became a regular at fan conventions around the world. From Comic-Con Junior in the US, to big events like Paris Manga and Sci-Fi Show and Athens Con in Greece, he's everywhere. In 2025, he's already confirmed for Saratoga Comic-Con. People come to hear stories about Charmed, but they stay to hear him speak about life, challenges, and why the show still means something today. Fans love how real he is. He doesn't hide anything. Away from the cameras, Brian lives a full life. He's a Californian through and through. He surfs almost every day and even runs a surfing school. That's not just for fun. It's a way to connect with others. He's also deeply committed to helping veterans struggling with mental health issues. That mission means a lot to him, especially because of people he knows personally. When he's not filming, he's out there making a real difference. His personal life has had some surprising turns too. He was once married to Beth Bruce, and they have a son named Jamin. They divorced in 2000. Later, fans couldn't stop talking about his short romance with Charmed co-star Alyssa Milano. The chemistry that made their scenes electric on TV spilled over into real life for a while. But here's something most people don't know. Brian didn't plan on becoming an actor. He originally wanted to study medicine. Life had other plans. Before acting, he worked as a handyman. He even delivered pies in a truck. That grounded background shaped who he is, and it helped him play Leo so authentically. Now, when he speaks to young actors, he often brings up those early jobs as proof that success doesn't come overnight, and that being humble matters. In 2025, Brian Krause isn't just riding on past fame. He's creating new stories. He's helping others. He's connecting with fans in ways that feel honest and meaningful. Julian McMahon. Julian McMahon became a household name thanks to his role as Cole Turner on Charmed. But what happened after that surprised a lot of people. Born in Sydney on July 27, 1968, Julian wasn't just another actor trying to make it big. He was the son of Sir William McMahon, a former Prime Minister of Australia. That alone gave him a unique kind of spotlight. Still, it was his acting choices, not his family name, that shaped his journey. When he left Charmed in 2003, most expected him to vanish from the spotlight. Instead, he took on a lead role in Nip Tuck, a bold and controversial show that ran from 2003 to 2010. He played Dr. Christian Troy, a slick, complex plastic surgeon with a dark side. The role earned him a Golden Globe nomination and built his reputation for playing twisted or morally gray characters. He seemed to gravitate toward roles that weren't easy to love, just like his earlier turn as Cole, and he didn't stop there. He took on the villainous role of Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four films, leaning even further into that darker side. Then, in 2020, Julian did something unexpected again. He joined CBS's FBI, most wanted as Jess LaCroix, a strong, steady team leader with a serious moral compass. It was a shift, less flashy, more grounded. Audiences connected with him, and critics praised the show. But halfway through the third season in 2022, he walked away. There was no drama behind the scenes, no fight with producers. He just wanted a change, more time with family, a new direction. The show gave his character a dramatic farewell and passed the lead role to Dylan McDermott. Now, in 2025, Julian McMahon is still moving forward, still surprising people. His latest project, The Surfer, takes him back to his home country. Shot in Western Australia, he stars as Scally, a violent surf gang leader, opposite Nicolas Cage. It's a raw, gritty film that made waves at SXSW 2025 for its intense performances. Julian even had to work on getting his Australian accent back after spending so many years playing Americans. He said it wasn't easy, but it felt right. His personal life has been just as full of ups and downs. He's been married 3 times. First to singer Dannii Minogue in the mid-90s, then to Baywatch actress Brooke Burns, with whom he shares a daughter. Since 2014, he's been married to Kelly Paniagua. His short marriage to Minogue made headlines back then, especially due to rumored tension with his mother, Sonia, Lady McMahon. Despite living in Los Angeles for decades, he still keeps strong ties to Australia and splits his time between LA and Sydney. Beyond acting, Julian has started focusing on causes he cares about. One of those is ocean conservation. He works with different NGOs and uses his public platform to talk about protecting marine life. That connection to the ocean makes sense for someone who grew up in Australia and now stars in a surf-themed film. He also hasn't been shy about the challenges he's faced. He shared how tough it was to leave big roles like Charmed and FBI, Most Wanted. He's even joked about how his mother used to give him harsh reviews after watching his performances. Through it all, failed marriages, tough career moves, the emotional toll of walking away from major shows, he's kept pushing forward. Dorian Gregory. Dorian Gregory, once known to millions as Detective Daryl Morris on Charmed, didn't just fade away when the show ended in 2005. His character was written out after season 7 due to budget cuts, but that didn't stop him. Instead of waiting for the next big role, he changed paths, quietly, but with purpose. In 2024, he made a surprising move. Gregory not only acted in, but also produced a Lifetime thriller called Fatal Fixer-Upper. He played a father named Roger, caught in a web of suburban danger. The movie didn't get the best reviews, some called it predictable, But Gregory's dual role as actor and associate producer showed he wasn't just looking for screen time. He wanted to shape the stories himself. That wasn't a one-time thing. In 2023, he played Dr. Nolan, a police psychologist, in As Luck Would Have It, another Lifetime series. The show mixed crime with family drama, and once again, Gregory was also working behind the scenes as a producer. It was a smart move. He was no longer just performing. He was steering the ship. But his work goes far beyond TV. Gregory has been living with type 1 diabetes since he was 9. It's not something he hides. Instead, he talks about it openly, at events, in schools, and in interviews. He reminds people to adjust their routines. Set alarms if you forget. Know that life itself is medicine. His words hit home because they come from real experience. He's lost a grandmother to type 2 diabetes. His aunt lives with it too. For him, advocacy is family. He's not just a diabetes advocate either. He's worked with AIDS Project Los Angeles and Mothers Against Drunk Driving. He's spoken to at-risk kids through the LAPD's Jeopardy program. Wherever he can help, he shows up. His talents stretch even further. Gregory and his sister, Mercedes Bay, started a music group called MD Says. They've had some success, not just in the US, but surprisingly in Europe too. He's also a poet and playwright. His works include Ashley Moore, Deep Deep Purple, and a play called Roommates for Life. While these projects don't always grab headlines, they reveal a creative mind that never slows down. Even though he's not in the spotlight every day, fans haven't forgotten him. He still appears at TV panels and fan events. In 2025, he showed up at the Beverly Hills Film Festival to talk about the power of 90s television. He spoke about Charmed with real warmth. I loved how it showed sisterhood, how they figured out who they were. Gregory is now 54. He was once married to Beth Bruce and has a grown son. He stays fit, maintains his 6'2" frame, and often shares wellness tips at public events. For someone who's lived with a chronic illness since childhood, that kind of energy is impressive. And there's a little-known fact about him that surprises even longtime fans. He was one of the last hosts of Soul Train from 2003 to 2006. He took over from Shamar Moore and helped close the curtain on an iconic show that had shaped generations of music lovers. Drew Fuller. Drew Fuller became a fan favorite on Charmed, playing Chris Halliwell, the time-traveling son of Piper and Leo. But when the show ended, he didn't take the typical path most actors do. Instead of chasing every acting role, he made some surprising choices. He started strong with a new part on Army Wives, playing Trevor LeBlanc from 2007 to 2012. Viewers loved him in that role, and he quickly became one of Lifetime's most popular faces. Around the same time, he starred in The Ultimate Gift with James Garner and Abigail Breslin, a film that showed he could do much more than just fantasy TV. But then he did something unexpected. He began turning down big roles and shifted his focus to independent films and directing. Most actors would never risk losing their spotlight like that, but Fuller leaned into it. In 2017, he made a short film called The Feminist, and in 2018, he released a cycling documentary with a wild title, Magnetic Plasma for Mass As Enlightenment. It was strange, creative, and full of purpose. It won attention at indie festivals and proved that Fuller cared more about meaning than money. By 2025, he directed a full-length drama called Patricia Sterling. The film was small, but the buzz around it was big, mostly because of its fresh storytelling and eco-friendly production methods. While his film career took an unusual route, Fuller's relationship with Charmed fans only grew stronger. In 2022, he teamed up with Holly Marie Combs and Brian Krause to launch The House of Halliwell, a rewatch podcast dedicated to Charmed. The idea was simple: revisit the show, share behind-the-scenes memories, and reconnect with the fans. But then, Fuller dropped a surprise. He had never actually watched Charmed from beginning to end until they started the podcast. Fans were stunned, but they loved hearing his honest reactions as he discovered twists and storylines for the first time. The podcast became a hit, but in 2024, it was suddenly paused. No clear reason was given, and fans started speculating online. At Steel City Con that year, Fuller promised big announcements were on the way. He hinted that something new might be coming, possibly involving the original cast. That one comment kept fans talking and gave the Charmed community something to hope for. Off-camera, Fuller's life stayed mostly quiet. He opened up here and there about his early modeling years, working with Tommy Hilfiger, Prada, and even doing a Pepsi commercial with Britney Spears. He's always had a soft spot for Paris, having lived there as a teen. In 2025, he returned to the city for Paris Comic-Con and called Charmed fans in France his home away from home. At these fan events, he talks openly about the hard parts of the industry and how important it is to stay true to your creative goals.